Hi guys, it's Miss Rikes checking in for your last YouTube lecture of the 1920 school year. So I just want to go briefly over your final review. So this is the final that you would have had if you were in class with me. Your FSA counts as a heavy weight for your grade, and after that I just give you a more simple foundational final, and that's what I sent to you guys. So we're going to briefly go over that. 1 and 2 are talking about planes and segments of lines. So it says, what's another name for plane P? You're going to name a plane, use any 3 non-collinear points. So any 3 points that are not in a line, and they chose A, B, and C. There's also a point over here, D. You could say it's plane D, B, C, or however you wanted to call that. Reviewing the definition of a segment. So what segment is on line N? Segment BC is on line N. Number 3 talks about the definition of array. So what is the name of array with endpoint B? So C, if you look up close, has the B located underneath of the endpoint of that ray. So that is your answer. Let's see. 5 gives you the length of 2 mid-segments and says what's the length of the whole segment. Add the 2 mid-segments together and you get 13. Number 6, they talk about the term congruence. So segment LM is congruent to segment QP. LM is 12. What is QP? So QP will be the same, equal in measure, 12 units. 7 talks about the definition of an acute angle. So they say, what term describes angle LMP? This little guy right here, he is acute. This one, they want to know the full measure of angle WXY. So WXY, add the 2 adjacent acute angles, and the full angle measure is 100 degrees. 9 reviews the term adjacent. So adjacent angles are next to each other, they're neighbors, they're adjacent to each other. They share a common side, not just a point, but a side, and that is why the answer is angle 1 and 2. Number 10, what's the complement to a measure of an angle with a measure of 47 degrees? Complementary angles equal 90 degrees. So if I have one that's 47, what do I add to it to get 90? And the answer is A, 43 degrees. Number 11 reviews the term supplementary angles. So supplementary angles equal 180. If the measure of angle B is x degrees, what's the measure of its supplement? So if I take 180 minus x, what's left over? And if I add the leftover to the x, I'll get 180, right? So the formula is C. 13 reviews the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. 14 reviews the fact that the area of a circle equals pi r squared. 15 and 16 are talking about midpoints. So midpoints, you have a segment GH. They give you the 2 endpoints. I'm going to take the x coordinates, and I'm going to say from -2 to 4, how many units does that take me to get between the 2? So if I go from -2 on my, what direction are you looking at me? Yep, -2 on my x-axis to 4, that's 6 units apart, right? Divide that number by 2, or just in half, and that gives me 3. So I know the midpoint is going to be 3 units away from each endpoint. So if I add 3 to the -2, I get a 1. So the x-coordinate for my midpoint is 1. Now for the y-coordinates of 5 and 1, on my y-axis, they're 4 units apart. The middle of that is going to be, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I'm going to go down 2 from my 5 to get to the midpoint, and that's going to put me at 3. So my midpoint is 1, 3. 16 is a little bit trickier because they gave you the segment is RS. R is one of the endpoints. M is the midpoint, has coordinates at 6, 9. Find the coordinate of S. So it's the same principle, but we know that from 2 to 6 is 4 units. So if I go from that midpoint 4 units further on the x-axis, that's going to give me the end point of 10. Y-axis, I go from 5 to 9, so I need to go another 4 units to get to my end point of 13. All right, 17, you're just simply plugging in the given x and y coordinates here into your distance formula. I think you're going to see that formula again next year. All right, 18, the Pythagorean theorem. You guys have heard about that for ages now. I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So my legs are my a and my b. My c is always my hypotenuse, which is always across from the right angle. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. The last step is to square root that c, and I get 10. Transformations. So this image here, I slide it over, and I get the same image here. It has not been flipped. My coordinates are all in the same location. So it is just simply a slide or a translation. 20, what rule would you use to translate a figure in the coordinate plane 2 units to the right? So if I'm going right or left, it's my x-axis. I'm going to the right, which is a positive direction, so I'm going to add 2 to my x-axis. Didn't say anything about moving it up and down, so I leave my y alone, which gives me A as my answer. Okay, so I don't want to say I told you so, but hopefully you'll see a little bit of that later on in your life. And it's not math that you can always use the calculator on your iPhone for, right? So you hopefully can take some of those foundations with you, and they will help you out just randomly in life, or if you go into a job in the math and science field at all, or you'd be surprised how many jobs actually have to use geometry sometimes. But if you ever have any questions about math or anything school related, or maybe you're filling out some college applications or work applications and need a reference, know that I'll always consider you my students, and that you're welcome to come ask me for anything in the future. Okay, so I hope I see you around. If you didn't graduate this year and you're going to be around the 200 hallway next year, please come see me. I'll have your notebooks in my storage closet if you want to grab your notebook and use it for a different class, or just hold on to it. But yeah, I hope you guys look back and have good memories from, I know it's math, and I know you guys are going to enjoy your summer break away from math, but for a math class, I hope that at least a couple days a week you had fun and can take some of what you learned with you. But yeah, I just want to say that, you know, as teachers, we do this job because we're passionate about children and helping you learn and grow, and I'm excited to watch you guys learn and grow. I had some really interesting, intelligent, just hardworking students this year. And the beginning of the year, I just was telling everyone, I'm so lucky I got such good students this year, and I'm gonna miss you guys. But I thank you for trying so hard and for putting up with my corny jokes, and for, you know, the days where I was like, well, scratch that. We're not doing that today. We're doing this because I found something cool to do. So I appreciate you guys going along with me and treating each other well too. You guys are, your generation is so good at treating each other well and just getting along well. So, you know, first period, thank you for the times that you stayed awake. And when I did get you guys to do your work, you worked really hard, and I appreciate it. And my second period, you guys really kept me on my toes. You were hilarious. You were full of energy. And you guys were really quick learners, so we were easy to teach. Third period was my largest class. Lots of different personalities in that class, and I learned a lot about watching you guys work together, especially in your group activities, how you received the information, and how, you know, what I needed to differentiate in instruction with you guys was a lot for me to I got to actually just use a lot of what I've learned about teaching with you guys. And I think you guys worked really well together. And I watched your chapter test grades go up throughout the year. So I'm hoping that in hindsight you feel like you learned a little bit, and that in the future, if you need help with your math, you can come to me and I'll try to help you. Fourth period, you get to know your students really well. Fourth quarter, you get to know your students even further, and I feel like I was right on the brink of really getting to know how you guys learned the best. We tried a lot of different things in class, and you all are just really bright, and you're good hard workers. Fourth period, same thing. Lots of different personalities, but you guys worked together really well, and you were really respectful of each other, and I appreciate it. Some really how do you say that? Like, you guys were you had really just different ways of learning and thinking, and like your approach of how to solve problems sometimes was really fascinating. So I learned a lot from you guys too. It was fun. Fifth period, you guys came in full of energy. So fifth and sixth period is my part of the day where I start just losing steam. I'm old, you know, what can I say? But fifth period, you guys were full of energy. I'd wake back up when you guys would come in, and when I could get you to focus and learn, you guys were hard workers. I know most of you didn't like math, but you actually were pretty good at it. So pat yourselves on the back. And some really sweet kids in that class. Come see me next year. Let's see. Sixth period was my smallest class, only 15 students, but you guys were really wild. You guys were the ones where I was like, let's try not to hurt ourselves today. But you guys were fun, and just like my second period, it was like you took my job away. You guys were so good at math that I just would give you the information, and you would act like you already knew all of it. You were really receptive to what I was teaching you. And it was rare when we had to actually go over something a couple times. So really smart, good learners. Common Core geometry is not easy, so you did it. You are done, and congratulations. I'm gonna miss all of you. In my mind, I'm always gonna think of you as my students, and I'm glad I had the pleasure to teach you all. It was a good experience, and I'm sad we didn't get all of our time together. But like I said, if you need help with anything in the future, if you need help with your math class, just do me a favor and bring your textbook, or we can log in and look at your textbook online or something, and your assignment. So if you come to me and you're like, I need help with this, at least have some kind of material for us to go over it together. Because most of the material I have in my class is geometry, obviously. So if you're going into pre-cal or algebra 2 or anything that you might need help with that your teacher maybe isn't available that morning or something, just come see me, but bring some material and we're going to need a little bit of time to go over it. But I'm more than happy to do that. And I miss you. Have a great summer. See you soon. Bye.